Welcome to Rectified Radio. From the latest in crypto news to educating the public, we aim to fight FUD and have fun talking blockchain. Fun segments, interactive guests, and more. This is Rectified Radio, powered by Vibravid.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Rectified Podcast. It's been such a long time, but we are here. We are back and better than ever because we're with my buddy Steve, founder of Vibravid, the project that we work on. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, Alex, man. You've been budging me a lot to get on a nice little talk that we can share with the world, and I've been ducking and dodging you having so much going on and not kind of wanting to talk about certain things, but here we are. And
yeah, man, I think one of the cool things that we strive to show people is how raw and real we are, and what we really think about this crypto space, and what we think about things like no nonsense, no BS, just really straightforward. The good, the bad, the ugly. We're gonna see who we are as people. We're not gonna.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why we're not popular influencers, because we don't tickle people's ears. We're just kind of straight up with what we think about things, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
and people appreciate that.
Exactly. In the end, I think we're in our growing stage, and as people, not as a project or anything, but people will eventually become more in tune with wanting to hear from people who keep it that way, keep it raw and uncut, tell us the truth, don't blow smoke up our arse, and you just tell it how it is. You know what I mean? That's what I want to hear, don't you? You know what I mean?
Man, I don't want to hear the fluff, like these traders who I bet get wrecked just as much as we do. Well, probably not just as much as we do. So you have a pretty interesting story that you told me, and you said you would confess. So you got wrecked this morning, huh?
Yeah, well, so far, but
so far.
Yeah.
So walk us through it, because all of us have gone through that at one point or another, whether it was buying TRX on a breakout, XRP, whatever you name it, like
the list goes on. Yeah. Yeah, so with all this Wallstreet Bets hype and everything going on, a friend of mine, he's like heavily into that stuff, and it's funny because I won't mention any names, but this particular friend of mine, I've been telling him to like buy Bitcoin and ETH and Tron even at some points. And he never listened to me, never, ever, ever. But all of a sudden in 2021, he's now a professional crypto trader. Because he got it. I think it was, it wasn't even crypto. It was the GameStop thing.
Yeah.
He made
his gateway.
Yeah, he made a few bucks off of that. So now he thinks like he's this professional trader.
Is he one of those guys that says like, I just got 5,000 shares of Doge stock?
For sure. For sure. He was texting me, what's the best place I can buy Bitcoin shares from, So which is very funny to me, but it's all laughs, but all in fun. And one thing, like anyone listening, remind yourself, do not ever wake up and start making trades or anything. Like, relax, wake up, have a cup of coffee, get your day started. Don't immediately look at the market. Like, it's something I knew and I've been doing, but today was just an exception. I literally woke up and I checked my phone the first thing, and my buddy says, this is what they're pumping next. And I'm like, oh, STMX. Okay. So I went right over my I was still wiping my eyes and stuff, you know what I mean? and I went right over and I put, I mean, I didn't put all my money in, but I put a good chunk. And literally, I think I was the top buyer because as soon as, as soon as my, as soon as my trade went through, it went blah, 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 which is my luck. But I mean, um, supposedly there's a pump on February 6th for this STMX stock, but we'll see what happens.
Wait, it was a stock or a coin?
Or see,
come on, man. See, they're infecting
they got
you.
me doing it. They got me doing it now. No, yeah,
it's a dummy.
It's an ERC20 token, and
where'd you buy it on?
Binance. I'm in the US, and I use the VPN to access Binance.
Which Binance?
Binance.com.
The China Binance?
That China Binance.
The China Binance, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, that was funny when you told me that earlier because I was thinking of Trump. It's like the China virus. He's like, the virus is Chinese. He's like, well, you said I used the China Binance.
The China Binance, because I mean, it's not about Coinbase anymore. You know, as Justin Sun said, that's a hard one. Justin Sun said, this year is the year of the Chinese blockchain.
Yeah, man. The China Binance. All about China Binance. Because Binance America, Binance US or whatever you call it.
It's got to be China.
Yeah, China Binance.
When Coinbase China comes out, look out.
Now that Biden's president. I'm just kidding. We'll get into politics later.
We will.
Nothing too crazy, though.
Yeah.
So there's a psychology behind trading and behind getting wrecked, and there's a reason why China Binance and all these other exchanges, Bing Bong, FTX, they want you to trade at high leverages. So there's a psychology behind it. You know, we're all using, heavy leverages with low accounts. We have to be real smart with that. And unfortunately, a lot of times we're not, and we want to buy stuff that is pumping. And that's definitely not the way to do it. I appreciate you telling your story because it happens to everyone.
To go into a little further detail, like as people, and this goes across the board, I don't care who you are, as people, everyone's impatient. Everyone wants that quick gain right now. You know what I mean? So when you go from regular crypto trading, you might do well, you might not do well, whatever. Even if you do well, it's not enough. So what's the next step? You got to short and long on futures. You know what I mean? And then you end up creating a Bybit or a Binance futures account, and you start shorting and longing cryptocurrencies, but you're not that educated, or you are, but the first thing you should do is learn about the stuff and then, not just jump into it, because if you 100x something, I don't care what coin it is, take the coin of the day, Dogecoin or whatever, you long or short it. If it goes down just a little bit, you're liquidated. You lose all of your money. You know what I mean? So it's definitely something that people should not jump right into, and you need to learn about it. You need to understand the metrics behind longing and shorting. And you better have money to back your trade up so you don't get liquidated.
Exactly. That's the number one thing. You have to set up your account the right way. You can't just have $200 in your account and then put a trade for 100 or 150, which is what I was doing. And I, definitely got wrecked. And at the same time, you just got to be able to work with the right parameters and know what time frame you're trading in and kind of stick to your goal. And then if you do that, it won't, if you have enough to back yourself up, it doesn't matter how much leverage you use, because you could lose like 10 times and then hit big on one. You got to know your risk to reward ratio. It's a bunch of things, but at the end of the day, it requires discipline, and most of us don't have it. And most of us shouldn't be trading, 100x or anything like that. A responsible trader who does it for a living, they're usually doing 2x, 3x, 4x, and they're happy getting 3 to 5% a day. So
Right. And a lot of people do that, but the ones that win are usually those people that can afford to lose $1 million in 3 minutes. And then they recoup their losses 5 times. You know what I mean? It's us littler, smaller guys that really get wrecked in all of these situations. Talking about all the recent stuff talked about on the internet, GameStop, AMC, Blockbuster. People have even talked about Nokia. I mean, they're literally pushing failed companies and trying to pump it. And it did work, but at the end of the day, you got to understand that the people pushing this stuff and orchestrating these pump events, let's call them, they already had a ton of shares of this stuff before they even orchestrate the pump. You know what I mean?
right. So let's get
And
into that. Let's not think that these Wall Street Bets guys, yes, they're trying to stick it to the overall meaning is yes, let's stick it to the big guy and stick up for the little guy. Let's band together and let's screw over those big millionaires who get away with
right,
so much. But don't for
right.
1 second think that these guys who started all this gained a whole bunch out of it.
The gentleman from Wall Street Bets that was in charge of the whole Wall Street Bets Reddit. I don't know how true it is. I haven't personally seen the documentation, but I mean, for example, the news media said that this guy put $53,000 into his GameStop bet, I believe it was, and he made $46 million. Now, that's great. And what is also great about that, which made headlines, is that they squeezed out so many hedge funds. Hedge funds lost tons of money. That's great, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the narrative is let's kill the big guys and everything else. But in the meantime, on the bigger time frame, on the bigger picture, so many retail investors bought in at five. Well, I'm talking about Doge now, but bought in at 5 cents, 6 cents,
Mm-hmm.
seven
Same
cents,
concept. Yeah.
got wrecked. GameStop bought in at 300, 250, 275. And when I checked it this morning, it was $90. So a lot of people like lost a lot of money, and that's how these pump and dumps work when you get with these dishonest organizations. And what really bothers me, I'll be very firm here, people know this in the space. And when I say the space, I'm talking about the cryptocurrency space. Changpeng Zhao from Binance, CZ, Justin Sun from Tron. I mean, they're all putting these Wall Street bet wigs and glasses on. They're like promoting it and advocating it, knowing that tons of people like you and me and anybody, the average little guys, are getting wrecked.
Justin got wrecked. Justin got wrecked too.
And
Yeah, a bunch of people got wrecked.
I even question if that was legitimate, but let's just say it was.
Let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
I would highly think he's that stupid to actually buy into failing companies, but
I mean, it's definitely good marketing.
It's good for marketing.
Yeah, I think the reason why people are okay with this and knowing that a bunch of people got wrecked is because it sends a message. But you cost a bunch of retail traders with dreams of honestly what they're getting. They're dreaming of getting rich quick at their expense. Like they got wrecked, Right. So it's a nice story because you squeeze these people, but at the same time, these hedge funds. But at the same time, you lost. So many people lost so much money, and it reminds me of the movie The Big Short, where everything started failing and the dudes are celebrating. And I think it's the dude who's playing Brad Pitt. He's like, "Why are you celebrating?" He's like, "You literally cost. I mean, not you, but because of what happened, so many people are going to lose their lives, their livelihood, their life savings. So yes, be happy you made money, but at the same time, like understand that this is not a good thing. So we have to take it all with a grain of salt. We can't just, unfortunately, people are just going to use the movement to leverage whatever, marketing or, agenda they have on their plate.
If I had to add anything to that, my best advice I could give to anyone, and I'm no Warren Buffett, but I think I have solid advice when it comes to this matter. If you're dealing with companies, invest in sound companies that are not failing or going out of business. And when it comes to cryptocurrencies, invest in sound cryptocurrencies that do not have an endless supply, that do not have a huge supply, and that actually have sound fundamentals behind them, use cases. Tipping on Twitter is not a use case. The list could go on and on. So let's keep
we're talking about Doge, for example.
Mm-hmm. For example,
I get it.
You know what I mean? And there's nothing against Dogecoin, and I know a lot of them guys made a lot of money, and I hope they continue to make money. But when you have people saying, Doge is going to $10 or $1,000 because Bitcoin did it, Bitcoin and Doge is a totally different ball game. You know what I mean? So people really need to, do their research, especially if they're new in the space, because at the end of the day, if you buy in at 7 cents and it goes down to 1 cent, you lost a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And coins like Doge, those are ones that might never recover because there's no fundamental,
Exactly.
And at least, let's talk about Tron now, because we talked to a lot of people. We're very involved in the Tron community. So let's talk about Tron now, because that's a prime example. TRX is a crappy investment for the last couple of years compared to ETH, right? But at least those people who have faith in TRX, at least they're investing in something that's a good product and that works really well.
There's fundamentals, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, TRX has been a terrible investment for me, but I still support it because it's a great blockchain and it can do so many good things. Whereas ETH, yes, I know people always complaining about the gas fees. Everyone's building on it. It's more decentralized. There's so many reasons to use ETH, and the numbers speak for itself. All these institutions are doing that. But Tron took a step in the right direction today by putting out a $10 million accelerator type fund for DeFi and other type of projects. So that made me really happy, because I know I've been very critical of Justin and the Tron Foundation and what they're doing, but this was definitely a good move, because now you're going to attract legit people to start developing on your platform. And sometimes we just need a capital push, not to make this about Vibravid, but we're all community funded, and those are limited funds. And the reason why we're slow to develop is because you don't have enough funds. But when Justin says, "Hey, look, we have hundreds of millions of dollars, and now they're actually willing to give some back to the community," that's awesome, man. That definitely made my day today.
Yeah, it's a good thing. As far as Tron as an investment, honestly, considering the IEO price, people that did happen to buy millions and millions of Tron at IEO price, they're sitting well off. But a lot of those people, here's the funny thing, in my honest observation, considering the internet, considering crypto, Twitter, etc., a lot of the major people that are behind Tron as a fan, as a supporter, they didn't buy in that IEO. So we're I haven't met anyone yet to this day, and 4 years later, Like, who bought in at IEO price? Like, where are these guys at? Did they already sell and they're gone? I mean, but
Maybe.
most people I know from the internet, they bought in anywhere between 1 cent and 20 whatever cents. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And some of the biggest fans and supporters are people that bought in toward the top. You know what I mean? Um, I think Aaron, he's a real big supporter. The guy that drives airplanes and stuff on Twitter, he, I believe he said I forget what the exact number was, but he bought in like in the 7 to 20 cent range. I can't remember what exactly it was. And I spoke with like No Idea and a lot of other supporters. Like a lot of these guys didn't get in like on the ground floor. These guys got in. Today's price is what, less than 4 cents, and everybody got in a lot higher than that. So of course you have to be a fan. Of course you have to be a supporter. Um, but going back to what you said about fundamentals is like at least Tron's a thing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for sure.
At least it offers something. You know what I mean? It's better than betting on Blockbuster, who's going out of business.
That's not even in the same category. But yeah, I mean, DPoS platforms have a lot of holes in it, but I do think Tron is one of the better ones. Unfortunately, my personal opinion, the way that they managed the tokenomics was terrible, and it's probably why the price is where it's at. And it goes to show
Right.
you how immature the markets are because you have to hit it on tokenomics. Look at Cardano. Like, who uses Cardano? They took forever to release, yet their coin is at like 40 cents. It's crazy.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and that's what I don't understand. But I mean, you know, the argument across the board will always be, well, Justin's a genius, you know what I mean? Which of course, anyone that can make millions and millions and millions of dollars out of something, he's obviously a genius at making money, you know what I mean?
it's
But it
not
is
always to our advantage.
exactly. So, was there necessarily a reason or cause to create token after token after token after token, holding, new IEOs, raising more money, and then he bounces around. I mean, as an observation from a bystander, then he's got he, I, we have Beats coin, like that's it. Like, could you imagine having to juggle today you're going to promote JST and then tomorrow you got to promote Sun and then tomorrow you got to say, hey, BTT's still alive, go buy it. And
Yeah.
that's why they say the guy don't sleep, but
Yeah. I mean, who knows? He might just be wrong. He might have had the best of intentions, and he might have just been wrong. But we'll really never really know. It's just a matter of opinions on both sides, and it's kind of annoying when people call us haters just because we're stating our opinion. But
yeah.
hey,
And
we support the chain at the end of the day, and we're
oh,
gonna keep building on it, just like we're building on Sys, Matic, ETH, like whatever makes sense.
yeah, for sure. I'm critical, but I support the chain to the fullest, until I see with some of these new proposals, I'm starting to shake my head here and there, but and trying to, because some of this stuff maybe I just don't understand enough because they're long-term changes supposedly. But as far as the chain is concerned, as far as the Tron blockchain, it works well as long as there's nothing that's going to be passed out in the code that interferes with what we're trying to do or interferes with human decency or fairness. Like, I'm going to support it. It's cheap. It's one of the fast and quickest blockchains. It works well. You know what I mean? And as far as Justin's concerned, I mean, he's not a god. Like, he's no different than me, you, and anybody else. We
Yeah.
all make mistakes. I've made mistakes. It just is what it is. I mean, one thing that always concerns me is we have the Sun network, and we call basically the Satoshi of TRX Sun, and then we created a Sun token that can be mined. I think that didn't get thought through quite as well as it should have. But moving forward,
some people like almost get to the point of worshiping Justin, which is kind of annoying. And
it is. But
I mean, you can look up to him in certain aspects, definitely, for sure. But I think at the end of the day, well, we'll see what happens. People are probably confused, if they follow me on Twitter, because I'll have like one positive tweet about Tron and then I'll have a negative one. They're like, what side is this guy in? I'm like, dude, I'm on the side of transparency, truth, and I'm going to give you my raw opinion. You want to talk about it? Let's talk about it.
Right. And not only that, what the, I don't want to call people like the average people or anything, but like me personally, and then you and I and some others, like we're involved with certain chats and discussions with high level people in the space. You know what I mean? So, the average guy who bought TRX 2 years ago and is waiting for it to moon, he doesn't.
They haven't had the conversations we've had.
Exactly.
But they don't get it. They don't understand that. We're haters.
It's not like there's a secret involved. It's just some people see things and some people don't. And is that fair or not? I don't know. But it is what it is. I mean, it's with any company. I mean, internally for Vibravid and Beatscoin, I mean, we have our own private chats as well. So, I mean, that's across the board. But it's a real thing. That's all I wanted to kind of convey. What I mean?
Nevertheless, man, I am just excited about what he did today. It was really a step in the right direction. We're going to participate in that fund. We're talking to one of the best developers. Hopefully he'll help us out. But essentially, NFTs on Tron through Vibravid. I'm not going to hype it up too much, but we've got an idea that's not only going to be cheaper, but it's going to enhance the Vibravid ecosystem. It's going to add value to what Beatscoin is, and it's hopefully going to bring a lot of people to the network and using us, so we can actually become a used company that eventually gets profitable. So hopefully we can take advantage, get Justin's incentive that he so kindly brought about, and hopefully we could look back and, those who listen to this podcast were like, man, that's awesome.
And it's a brilliant idea. And I give you all the credit here, Alex, because you really pieced it together on that. So let's look back at that in a little while. And
to kind of sum it up, we have NFT marketplaces only used for crypto art, but there's not real versatility to it, and it's expensive. So we solved the problem of it being cheap, and we're also going to be able to use BTFS technology, which we're already using on Vibravid, and being able to implement NFTs that are backed by actual audio and video. So think about your beat makers. My boy, No Idea, right there. NFTs, beats, giving limited rights, not just collectibles. NBA Top Shot is awesome, but it's just a collectible site. If you're not into it, you're not into it. But if you can actually give use case to an NFT to have proof and actually have some sort of rights and add speculation to the music market, to the content creator market.
I mean, potentially, if I was a larger artist, I could, copyright's a bad word to use, but I could basically copyright my content and create an NFT that represents that piece of content that has certain, that allows certain rights to the buyer. And it's on the open market. That's huge.
I mean, let's use a hip hop beat, a hip hop beat, for example. Boom, you created the beat, you solidified it with the NFT, you give limited rights, you earn commission on it, you sell it for whatever you want. Steven hears that beat and he's like, man, this is a dope beat. You buy it for $100 worth of Tron or cash or whatever you want to buy it. And then later on, you get it into the hands of the right rapper, and that blows up, and you say, hey, well, you want the rights to it? Now it's going to cost you $10,000. Dude, I'm telling you.
And likewise, it can start off on a marketplace where people have to bid on it. You know what I mean?
An eBay type thing, yeah.
The
Opportunities are endless.
Endless. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So it's just something awesome that we thought of for adding to Vibravid, and we're really excited about that. And speaking of Vibravid, it's what's been going on in the world has been very polarizing, and here's where we can get a little bit political because it does affect us as a company and what we're trying to do, our mission with Vibravid. And it's been a crazy last few months with the election, and it's really been very, very revealing into what's going to happen in the future and what's going to happen to Vibravid. But let me just say, I don't know, but it's not heading in a good direction. And this is where decentralization is really, really going to matter.
It's a really big challenge to overcome that hurdle. I guess first I'd like to say, to expound on that a little bit, is, no matter who you are, no matter if you're liked by everyone, no matter if you're hated by everyone, as long as you're not saying or doing anything that's directly harming or going to harm someone, you should have the right to say it. You know what I mean? And what we've seen throughout the political environment, and even in a lesser sub-environment throughout people who support political movements and stuff, like a lot of groups are getting censored, and immediately to the average ear that's not really like paying attention to things, they're going to be like, well, wait a second, them people are bad, they can't talk. But no, that's why brilliant people way more smarter than us, came up with the amendment for freedom of speech. But again, the difficulty there, and that everyone can argue, is that's from the government, not private companies and stuff. But when you have private companies start censoring things, they become the actual control space for what you see and you don't see. And most of us are online, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, whatever social media platform, YouTube. I mean, when those three companies that I just mentioned are able to censor things or promote things, at the end of the day, you're actually limited to what you can see, and now you're only seeing what they allow you to see, and that's a big problem.
And things get misconstrued, and they become the controllers of the narrative. Because whether you're on the left side or the right side or neutral, whatever, like, you want to make a point, and then they're going to say, no, that didn't happen. Well, yes, it did happen. Look, I have proof. Oh, we're going to decline it. We're going to we're going to remove it off of our platform. And that's not fair. It's like, I don't vote. I didn't vote for Trump. I didn't vote for Biden. I don't vote at all. I don't care. Obviously, we all have our political lenience. It might be a little to the left, might be a little to the right. Some are far left, some are far right. But, they were saying, like, he was promoting for them to go riot. And he specifically said in his video, we need to have peace. But then Twitter goes and removes that video. So, again, they control the narrative. Things get misconstrued. But it's not even worth arguing, because we are little guys. We have no control. We're not going to make a difference. At the end of the day, they're going to do whatever they want to do. Here's the problem. When you've got AWS involved and they're shutting things down, now we have to take a step back and look forward. Like, man, if Vibravid gets popular, we need to have a plan B.
Right, because just like Parler and a few other of these platforms that, granted, for those listening, some of these platforms were far-right groups, and we're not promoting that in any way.
Good point.
What we're saying is that What else
See,
can
we're
we
using
do?
left or right.
The left is silencing the right, and that's not good. That's
Yeah.
not good.
And then here's the other problem is that we created an account on Parler. I took it upon myself to create a Vibravid account on Parler.
Mhm.
And when I went on there, I'm like, dude, this is just a right wing echo chamber, just people talking about
There's
politics.
no conversation. It's just
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, they're
this.
screwing us, the left, the Democrats, blah blah blah. And then on
Kind
Twitter,
of like the Doge pump.
yeah, and then I'm like, man, we don't want to become a right echo chamber on Vibravid,
Right.
like
No,
we want to
that's
be a
not what
platform that everyone goes to. And that's why the concept of uncensored is better than promoting free speech, right?
sure.
So it's a good way to go about things without drawing too much attention to our names, like Parler did, and boom, they got shut down, right?
Mhm.
So
And going back to what you said, that is the biggest problem that again, going back to my earlier thing about the average person, like they don't realize that like whether you're a DApp, whether you're a blockchain like Tron, Ethereum, whatever, when you have actual websites with people that own those websites that you have to type in www dot whatever it is, they're hosted somewhere, and they're hosted by decentralized projects. 100% can be hosted on 100% centralized platforms such as Amazon AWS, and
yeah,
there's a multitude of others. And when those companies, which they did, AWS shut down Parler and a couple of other platforms, what do you do? What's next? Not saying they will, but even having the possibility, we're going to shut down tronscan.org. We're going to shut down their servers. No good anymore. You know what I mean? We're going to shut down vibravid.io. We're going to shut down trontrade.io because, hey, there's some illegal pump and dump trading going on there. We're shutting it down.
yeah, because at the end of the day, like, yeah, you might be able to interact with the contract on Tronscan, but if they want to shut down something like trontrade.io, they can. Where are you going to go to make your trade? Do you know how to go in and manage the smart contract? No, nobody knows how to do. That's why you
It's
have websites to do all the work. So it don't matter if Vibravid content on there is decentralized throughout, the BitTorrent or the IPFS protocols. It don't matter if, the place where you go look at it is actually censored or blacklisted.
yeah,
So
it's a very, 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 very dangerous thing to start censoring things and to start removing things because some party seems popular and they don't agree with it. That's how Hitler enticed Germany and started killing all the Jews. That's how China became a communist state. That's how Russia began censoring and taking away weapons from people and becoming a communist state. That's how North Korea has been since they split with South Korea. I mean, the list goes on and on. Like, it, it's silly to me, but I mean, a lot of people don't get it, I guess. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
the problem is that in this world, people are after power, profit, and control. And
Mhm.
that's the way that they can control things. And when they divide the nation, they're able to conquer them. So when you've got left versus right,
Mhm.
it's easier to go ahead and conquer everyone.
Or
And
white versus black,
yeah,
or that's always a good narrative to push. As soon as something's going wrong, or then when the versus black doesn't work, it's America versus Iraqis or
mm-hmm.
Islam. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
Muslims.
I literally haven't, and just like Alex presented his disclaimer, I did not vote this election either because I do not care for Trump. I do not care for Biden, and voting for a third party is going to do nothing. For the first time in almost 4 years since Trump was president, the other day, since Biden became president, my wife, she turned on CNN because that's what she likes to watch. Even though I mean, it
See, and
is
you
what it
still make
is.
it work with her.
Yeah, it is what it is. If you watch CNN, basically you're kind of Democrat. If you watch Fox, you're kind of like a Republican. It doesn't matter to me. I'll sit there and watch anything, whether it's Fox or CNN. But anyway, my point was
Or none
for
of them.
for the first time in almost 4 years, yeah, but for the first time in 4 years, they're talking about Al Qaeda again. They're talking about Al Qaeda as becoming a force to be reckoned with, and I'm like, really? Like 4 years then went by. That stuff was already. Now the Democrat Party takes control again, and
Each party has their own narrative, and they're gonna push their thing. Like, Democrats gonna push the green stuff. So there's a cause and effect to everything. But
speaking of the green stuff, and I'm all for alternative energy, but have you seen a lithium mine and what it looks like compared to an oil mine? What it damages the earth?
oh yeah, it's kind of a scam. Honestly, I mean, and it's just there's got to
I
be a
like
balance.
batteries.
Yeah,
I like batteries, but
do you know how much oil it takes to make a battery? But nevertheless, let's be fair here. Everything needs to be balanced. Like renewable energies and alternate energies, there is a place for them. It's just agendas are getting in the way.
Right.
And that's unfortunate. So it's something that we could talk about it here on this podcast. Hopefully it won't ever come back to bite us down if we make it really big. But
that's the aim, I hope just everybody listening can just say, hey, these guys are talking about real applicable. We're gonna have to edit that one. Real.
You're gonna run through it.
We're talking about real Apple. I still can't do it. Excuse me.
I'll edit the F word.
We're talking about real world applicable things that apply to all of our lives. As funny as that was,
it's true. It's true.
It drives me crazy. Like, I'm scared for my children and stuff, and other people's children. It's like, what kind of world are we leaving the next generation? It's insane. And who knows? I mean, I'd place bets. I guarantee within the next 4-year presidency, we're going to be at war with somebody. I guarantee it. I mean, that's my personal little bet. That's kind of like off the wall, but that I think so. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't take that bet because you'd win.
I think so.
But at the end of the day, like, it's a slippery slope when we're talking about politics and what's going on in the world. And we got to think 2, 3, 4 steps ahead when it comes to Vibravid, because we don't want to be labeled or categorized under one that might be looked down upon and then shut down. So, we have to think, maybe let's not push the freedom of speech thing. Let's push the uncensored, or let's just not bring it up. Let's just invite everyone. And then if it gets to that point where they start AWS starts mass censoring, then we'll just, find another alternative. Heck, if it gets to the point that we got to go on the dark web,
I mean,
I hope it doesn't get to that point.
We've already had that dev discussion. I mean, I hope it never gets to that point, but I mean, Vibravid already has an alternative if we need to go that route. I hope it doesn't get that way, but it's always possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this has definitely been a good discussion. I like keeping it real. I like talking about things, and we should definitely keep it up. and people could see how real we are, what we're really building, and keep moving forward. So you got any last closing remarks before we end this one?
I don't know. I think we're I don't know how long this episode's even going to be after we even edit it, but
I'll split it up if I have to.
Okay. You know, the only thing, and this is like from my heart, you know what I mean? The only thing that really bothers me every day, I lose sleep over it every day, you know, is like Beatscoin and Vibravid was supposed to be this glorious project. You know what I mean? That's where my initial vision was, and it got crippled by some mistakes, by some early and quote unquote investors, and by some scammers / exchanges, i.e. ABCC exchange dumping for 40 million Beatscoin on the market. I have trouble to this day, and it almost brings a tear to my eye, because this is not how things are supposed to be. Like in my envisionment, like, you know, Vibravid was supposed to be great. Beatscoin was going to soar. Everything was going to work out well. You know what I mean? And I get accused of being a scammer. I get like, what did I scam? I get accused. Like,
you're a very terrible scammer if that's the case.
It's true. You know, I just want everyone to know that I and everyone on this team, Alex, Dallas, everyone that's secondary on the team, our developers, we do everything we can do to make this project develop as quick as possible, to make it as good as we want it to be, to present to the public. But I mean, in most circumstances, we're at the mercy of our developers, and things aren't as quick to develop as everyone thinks. Like NFT idea, oh, it's going to be done next week. No, that's not the case. It takes time. Even with, we're not going to say who it is, but even with one of the that understands this stuff, it's going to take a couple of months. It's going to take time.
Yeah, and when you don't have millions of dollars and you know a micro team, like things come up, and we have like a VIP group, and they bring things up like, oh man, you should have done this on the UI, and we're like, holy crap, that's a very good point. You know, they make their contributions. It's not like we have like, you know, 10, 15 people dedicated to, you know, one aspect of the business or the site.
Right.
And, you know, we miss things because we're that small, but we've got the dream. And I feel that once we get this done, we're going to be playing hardball with all the other alternative platforms as far as what we can offer.
For sure. And what keeps me going every day is knowing that, because if you talk about funding, we're here and all of our competition is up here as far as funding goes. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
But yet we're still here. We're still pushing. We launched. For anyone who is a naysayer or looks down at what we've done, you know, it saddens my heart. Yes, I understand. It's hard to wait 4 years to kind of like catch up with a project, and you sold a while ago and you think it's a shit project. I get it. But at the end of the day, 4 years isn't nothing. And we probably still need another year or two until we get to where we really want to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The point is, in this space, what I hate is that you're going to criticize a small business, essentially. Yet,
right.
You would never do that in real life. And at the end of the day, you need to realize we're giving it our all, like our 100%, you know, with whatever scraps we have, we're trying to take it to the next level.
We have nothing at all. When I say we, me, you, Alex, Dallas, the core team, developers, nobody has any, and this has been, I don't know, for probably over a year now. None of us have any invested interest to like, we're not making money off of this. Like
we're trying to get to the point where we can make money.
No, right, exactly.
As a business,
I'm
right?
just saying, because people will be like, "Oh, the team's dumping," or they're making.
Yeah, let me dump $200 worth of Bitcoin. Okay, like that's gonna do anything for me,
Exactly.
Like I'll go wash cars before I dump Bitcoin for $200 when I know how much it could be worth in the future if we're able to move forward and develop good. I'll freaking cut lawns. I will do anything else. I'll get wrecked in other trades before all the Bitcoin because, it's like we believe in it. We believe in it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's all I wanted to say. I mean, it was just trying to have a heart-to-heart with the viewer, like, because all that rolls through my mind sometimes. See, people, how we talked about some people hear things in private chats that others don't, the average people. Well, for the average people, like all that floats on my mind every day is like we have, and I'm not going to mention any names or point to them, we have haters, we have complete Telegram groups that call this project like a scam. We have people that message me on a daily, not exaggerating, on a daily basis, calling me names, you know what I mean? And it's like
they're trying to suck money out of us.
It's trying, what can we have white hat developers saying, hey, we found this vulnerability, so pay us $10,000 or we're going to exploit it. And some of that might be true, but I mean, at the same time, it's just the average person, again, doesn't really understand what we go through. And I will stand by this till I die and someone walks over my body. We are some of the most honest, consistent people in the space compared
to
good
intentions. Others. Good intentions. That's the word.
For sure. And I mean, I wouldn't even say good intentions because my grandma told me that, some good intentions paved the way to hell. I think that's what she said. But yes, good intentions, but we've been screwed over. We've been scammed. We've made some bad decisions, and we're still here today, and we're still fighting, and everything's, in my opinion, the way I'm perceiving everything, as long as we don't run out of money, because that's what keeps everything going, I think we're going to be okay. You know what I mean? And I don't want to pump or promote or anything like that. This is not financial advice, but looking at Bitcoin price today, I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah. There you have it, guys. You want to go listen to BitBoy and all the other influencers that, are going to pump your coins, go for it. But in this place, we're going to keep it 100% real. So, Steve, yes. I appreciate you joining me. Let's keep doing this, man. Even if it's 20 or 30 minutes, a couple times every couple of weeks. Let's talk about the market. Yeah. So people, we can get people in our corner just by proving who we are, and talking about.
And guys, I know I stuttered and slumped up on my words. I'm a real person just like you watching this. I'm not perfect. I'm not a god, obviously. You know what I mean? It's just, it is what it is. We'll keep it raw and uncut. And if you don't like it, you don't have to listen. You don't have to like the project. You don't have to like us. If you do, Thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell, subscribe.
You go in the old crypto tone. Peace. Oh man, shout out to Crypto Tone. All right, guys.
Shout out to Crypto Tone. See you guys later. Thanks for having us.
All right.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Rectified Radio Podcast. Stay tuned for our next episode, and make sure to check us out on Vibravid.io for exclusive content. Peace.
I'm just about that action, boss.